Hello there, fellow model makers, and welcome to the second part of my Great Wall Hobby 148 scale Mig-29 Fulcrum build. Last time we completed the cockpit, and we can now start putting together the top fuselage. There was a choice of open or closed vents, and I chose open. The fuse box assembly is highly detailed. Photo etch detail for the air intakes. I next paint the cockpit area with Mr. Color 308 Grey, the same color I used for the cockpit tub. While the glue and paint dries on the top half of the fuselage, I start work on the lower half by cutting and cleaning the wheel well assemblies. I will not be gluing the wheel well parts together. There is a lot of fine detail inside the wheel wells, and as you can see, the angle between the parts is very narrow. If I were to glue these parts, I would not be able to paint the details inside. So I will only glue these parts together once the painting is over. I start by giving all the wheel well parts a black base. The front of the cockpit is also masked and painted black. I later realized that I need not have been so precise with the masking, since most of the front is anyway covered by a black canopy frame. Once the black was dry, it was back to the trusty Mr. Color 308 Grey. This kit does use up a lot of this color. time to pull out the fine tip brush and paint some details. I am just randomly using white and yellow on the pipes and wires, and a little bit of red as well. Now a coat of gloss. I'm so happy I decided to experiment with these varnish cans. They are really convenient, and the finish is also great. Just a word of caution. Use very light bursts from the can. Too much and you can easily flood the surface with varnish that dries into huge blobs. Some more detail work on the fuse box assembly. The black part of the cockpit is given a dry brush with aluminium just to make the details pop. With the gloss varnish dry, I now use Tamiya black panel line accent color to give the painted parts a wash. The extra wash is wiped away with a Q-tip moistened with odorless spirit. Now a coat of matte varnish. The parts can now be glued together. before the wheel wells are glued in, I quickly need to drill holes for the weapons load on the lower half of the wings. Incidentally, all these holes are not in the correct place, but there was no way to tell that at this moment. And now the wheel wells are glued in place. The fit was a little tight and tricky, but in the end, the parts did fit in reasonably well and no putty was needed. The cockpit can now be glued in. While gluing large parts like these fuselage halves, I like to move section by section. This helps me align the parts accurately. Also, I can keep the amount of glue being applied down to a minimum and localized to one section. This helps avoid glue smears and fingerprints on the kit. I thought of painting the tail assembly separately and then gluing it in place in the end. But there were some tiny gaps at the joints that would need filling, so I glued the parts in. Right then, that completes the major part of the build. The kit came together rather nicely. Next time we will start work on the engines, which are very nicely detailed. We will also putty and sand the joints on the kit. I hope you enjoyed the video. In case you did, please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon for further updates from me. That about wraps it for now. Till next time, good luck and happy model making.